Welcome to the FTW Podcast, the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. Tonight is episode number 143, coming to you live on December 11th, 2012. Tonight we're going to talk and see if TLC is going to get any love, the resolution of Final Resolution, and the Season 3 of the FTW Draft has concluded, and spoiler alert, we are much smarter than you guys. All that and more on the week that was in WWE and TNA. My name is Harrison, and with me tonight is Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Ahoy, ahoy, ahoy.
Rob. Say hello, Rob.
Hey.
And Garvin is manning the boards. If you're listening through iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast player, make sure to check out FTWpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved in upcoming discussions. You can find out about us on Twitter and Facebook. All those links are listed right there on FTWpodcast.com. For those guys listening live at FTWlive.com, glad you can make it. Look forward to hanging out with you guys for a bit. And like I mentioned, the Season 3 of the FTW Draft is over. The playoffs are over. The regular season is over. We have a champion. Last week, it was Ken from Radio Under the Influence representing Team Listeners, taking on our very own Lee representing Team FTW. And was there ever really a doubt? We totally destroyed you guys. Where we stand is Team FTW/Lee, 13.5 points in 1 week. Versus Ken and Team Listeners' weak-ass effort of 4.5. You know what, guys? Let's just take a moment here, Rob, Joe, Garvin, and just join me with a nice slow clap for us. Yay, us. However, there is one thing that we got to bring up here, and that is specifically relating to Mike. I don't want to dive into this too much, but guys, last week you let me down. How could you possibly let Mike try and sabotage this in the live chat? Why don't you just shut the chat down or, hit some kind of like self-destruct button or something like that?
Because it didn't matter. It really didn't.
Yeah, in the end, it didn't matter. Mike self-destructed himself, and that happened weeks ago. It wasn't just like a new thing. So for him to go and partner up with Ken, all that meant to us was Mike's going to take Ken's ship down with him, not us, right. Which is what happened.
That's a fair point. I've known Mike since the 3rd grade. His self-destruction started a long time ago. I just look at this.
We sent out assassins, but we didn't hear anything back.
I'm just happy that we won, despite the fact that Benedict Arnold decided to stab us in the back. So happy days are ahead. We'll be doing the draft again sometime soon, coming up when we can reorganize this a little bit, maybe punish Mike some. It should be fun. So if you have a punishment that you'd like us to put Mike through, feel free to let us know at our website. You can tweet to us or leave it on Facebook. It should be a lot of fun.
Mike is required to pick R-Truth and Vicky Guerrero.
For his next team.
Or, he might actually be required to shower once a month.
Ooh, burn.
Snap!
All right, so let's jump into a little TNA news. We're just going to start off right here with, before we get to Final Resolution, we had Thursday Night Impact. Now, I know it's hard to kind of grade Impact and say how was it as a go-home show, because it seems like every time that we do it, it's kind of like either or type of thing. But the one thing I do want to single out here, Rob, is the X Division title. We had... Lo and behold, folks, we had a build-up to the X Division title before a pay-per-view. How about that?
And it was probably the match of the night. I mean, Kenny King had an awesome match in that triple threat match. And to see him win, beating Kid Cash and Zema Ion was fucking amazing. I mean, it was probably... I said this... I touched on it briefly in the pre-show that happened after Impact for the pay-per-view. This was probably the best Kenny King match I've seen during his tenure in TNA. He was really on the ball and just knocked it out of the park. And yeah, like you said, it was nice to see some build-up to a title match.
Yeah. No, hands down. It was one of those things where... it was definitely surprising to have it instead of being like, okay, hey, look at that, we're having an X Division title on a pay-per-view. The other thing that should bring up is Well, I mean, Velvet Sky. I mean, Oh, no, go on, Rob.
She's coming back, and Taz nearly had a heart attack as he went through the introduction for her.
Pigeons everywhere, loose, everywhere, feathers down, everywhere, flying.
Yeah, but what a waste of a segment.
Oh, it was horrible.
Such a waste.
It was a god-awful segment, and this was something else that Garvin and I touched on in the pay-per-view pre-show. I mean, granted, the segment was kind of going downhill anyways because they brought Tara out, and they're forcing a stupid gimmick down Tara's throat at the moment. But they rushed out Velvet Sky, and rushing out Velvet Sky immediately took off focus off of Mickie James versus Tara, and now people are worried about, and now people are trying to figure out what is going on with Velvet Sky and everything. TNA missed a huge opportunity to just rush her out. They should have held back on that a bit.
Yeah, you either should have done that at the pay-per-view itself, or you do that at the following Impact, the Impact after last week, because it just the placement, it had nothing to do with anything, and it was overall it was bad booking on TNA's part. I'm glad she's back, but man, they wasted it.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Garv, I agree with you that it's a terrible, terrible location for it to happen. And preferably it would be not on the pay-per-view, but immediately after, because like we keep pointing out, TNA tends to use their pay-per-view names for a reason. So Final Resolution, and then we have a new person. It doesn't really fit very well. And yeah, I know that's a loose and kind of a weak reason, but it's better than bringing her out like they did. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, too much Hogan. I mean, we're all in agreement of that, right? I mean, we had Hogan throughout this entire show. And when he was first doing this kind of thing where he was coming out, I want to say 3-4 months ago, and he was in these little segments here and there, it wasn't that big of a deal. But now, does it feel like we're just being suffocated with the guy?
Yeah, especially with the kind of soap opera bullshit that they're pulling right now. I mean, I'd prefer to see them scale back on involving Hogan a little bit. He's the general manager. He should be working behind the scenes.
Yeah, and the thing is if they were to use him properly, it would be better. But like how he came out to book the Austin Aries versus Bully Ray match, that again was like another weird scenario that doesn't really fit what is going on and what people want to see. And that's the problem with Hogan's involvement, is just, he's just there when he doesn't need to be.
Yeah, part of that reason...
Every time, though.
But part of that reason you have to ask, is that due to booking? Is that due to Hogan's ego? Is it due to some contract thing, maybe? It just feels like, regardless of whatever the reason is, it's just a terrible situation for TNA to be in, because at this point, you can almost feel like it's kind of holding them back a little bit. I mean, this whole Bully Ray, Brooke Hogan storyline, everything, it's so garbage.
What's wrong with Mark? Come on.
Well, there are some redeeming points to the storyline. I like...
Yeah, we get Austin Aries and Bully Ray in a match. That's really it.
Well, that, and I like Bully Ray trying to get Hogan's trust. Those are solid points that you could work with. Outside of that, they could find a much better way to do it.
Yeah, but Rob, I can understand where you're coming from, but with this, it just smacks of AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, where we were saying the same thing then. We were saying this is a crap storyline, but both these guys are doing a really good job with what they have. Again, we're in a main event storyline with the two top talent at the time, and here we are. Again, talking about this crap, soap opera-esque storyline that they're involved in. And the only redeeming feature we can say is that, well, at least the two guys are doing a good job.
Right.
I mean, at what point do they break the cycle?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't really think about that. But that's a very good point. We did say the same thing. And again, I don't know. With TNA though, it's almost acceptable. It's almost acceptable knowing that what they do outside of the ring isn't going to matter once they get inside of the ring. Inside of the ring, we're still going to get good pay-per-view matches. We're still going to get, quality feuds, but yeah, we have to sadly deal with excess crap.
See, that's the problem, though. When it comes to this kind of entertainment, the idea of you saying it's redeemable and, well, you just have to suffer through it. It's like, no, they should fix it so we don't have to suffer through it. It bothers me because the reason why it bothers me is, like I brought it up, this is the same situation we were in not 3 months ago. And it's like, this isn't like a WCW storyline that they're recycling from, 8-10 years ago, or something that they borrowed from ROH. You guys just did this.
Right.
And we're still going through it. And they killed it. That's the thing, that other thing that bothers me. They took that AJ Lynch storyline out behind, and they put two in the back of the head, and then now they're doing it again.
That's because it didn't die. It's a zombie.
It really is. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. It is. It's a fucking zombie.
And what really hurts for TNA is Garvin's wrong. TNA fans don't have to sit and suffer through it. They can turn it off.
Exactly, Rob. Thank you. Yeah, and that's the real problem with this, is that at any point you can just flip the channel. And
yeah.
That's what I did last night to Raw.
We'll get to Raw later. All right, so Final Resolution going into Sunday. Okay, here we are. We're coming into December. Last month, we gave TNA the win last month on pay-per-views, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, okay, so do you think that Final Resolution, given what we know is happening with, CM Punk's getting his knee scoped and everything, do you think Final Resolution, as it happened, is basically WWE has the work cut out for him to try and top this pay-per-view?
Definitely. Final Resolution was fucking amazing. It was a really solid pay-per-view. Most of the matches were pretty good. A few of them were really exceptional. My biggest problem was that, the main event of Hardy versus Rude had a lot to live up to, given some of the matches that followed beforehand, like Aries and Bully Ray, AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels. There were a couple of matches that I think outshone the main event.
Well, like what? I mean, if you had to pick your favorite match of the night, what would that be, Rob?
I say it's a tie between the two matches I listed: Austin Aries versus Bully Ray, and AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. Both of those matches were really, really damn good. Yeah,
but I mean, when we were going to AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels, it's like, what, part 18 of their feud? But, I mean, then it's almost like a gimme. I mean, come on.
Right, but
they always do great.
Right. They do, and they managed to come up with new stuff. Bully Ray versus Austin Aries was good. I didn't much care for the way they chose to end the match, but it allows them to continue the storyline, I guess.
Okay, Garth, what do you agree with that, or do you disagree?
To which point that those were better than the main event?
How the match ended. Are you with Rob saying it was kind of meh, or did you kind of like how it went?
I was fine with the whole thing. I'm fine with it personally.
Thank you. Excellent point. Okay, so. The X Division Championship, specifically. I mean, we had the build-up. Kenny King does not win it over RVD, and so now we got to go through another month of RVD holding the belt.
Which I predicted, by the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think this hurts the division? I mean, because we were talking about...
Not really, because
go on, Rob, go on.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, the reason I say is, do you think it hurts? Because one of the things that we talked about going into the X Division, and specifically with it wasn't last week because I wasn't here. It was 2 weeks ago when they did the open fight night and they had all the past gut check winners on, and we kept saying, these are the talent that they got to put in the X division, and we were excited because it was like, well, then it's true. RVD is just a placeholder.
That was the Thanksgiving show.
Okay, that was the Thanksgiving show. So we're looking at 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, regardless. Anyway, doesn't seem like it's going to be the case. I mean, RVD is probably going to be holding this belt into the new year. So you don't think this really suffocates the X division just a little bit?
Not when the match first happened, I was worried about that, but I kind of like how TNA is going with stuff because a little while after the match, they had a segment where TNA and a couple of the other commentators actually pointed out that on Twitter, RVD had given was very complimentary of Kenny King's skills and the match that they had. So I kind of like the idea of maybe they're using RVD to kind of push Kenny King. Not that he needs the help, but maybe they're going to use that to push forward and build from there. And as I look at the X division, I think that the top two people for the X division title at this point have to be either Kenny King or Austin Aries. And given the way he's been performing lately, I'd like to see Kenny King get the title.
Yeah, I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, Garv, what do you think?
Well, your original question was, is RVD suffocating the division? And the answer is no. It's not RVD that's suffocating the division. It's that TNA will not give them enough TV time to really push anything. So, has RVD been a great champ? Absolutely not. But has he really been given the opportunity to? No.
I really love how you ask yourself very easy questions.
But those were the questions that were initially asked.
Yeah, those are your questions, sir. I'm just repeating.
No, the last two were not. The last two were not.
All right, so
that's suffocating. The fact that him being champion. I mean, do you think him being champion, not he doing it, but would you think the X division now would be a better place if Kenny King was holding the strap?
No, I think it would be in the exact same spot as long as we're not getting TV time. You need the TV time to show off the X division as a whole. Who cares who the champion is as long as they're not on TV?
Okay, don't get worked up. It's all right.
Yeah, if you're not going to do the knockout tag team titles, it doesn't matter who the champion is.
Go Team Beard.
But
all right.
But as far as this match goes, I was really happy with how it all turned out. Sure, I think we'd all love to see Kenny King hold the title. We'd all love to see someone else hold the title other than RVD, but at the same time, you need some time to develop a guy like Kenny King, and for him to have 2 matches 2 weeks in a row, be on TV 3 weeks in a row, and then you don't see him again for months. I mean, that doesn't really build a guy. That's where a guy like RVD, who's already has his name value, that's where he comes in handy here. Hopefully, though, they expand this going into next year and into 2013. Hopefully that's a year that they give the X division more exposure, and then we can see guys like Kenny King hold the title, give it back to Zema Ion, especially when Jesse Sorensen comes back. I think that's when you'll really see it come alive, but you need TV time first.
Okay. That's a fair point. All right, so let's go James Storm and Kaz. This was one of those matches that, I mean, it just kind of, I don't want to call it filler, but it wasn't exactly something that we really wanted to see. How'd you think the match kind of, I mean, Rob, how do you think it turned out? I mean, were you happy with it?
It was mostly filler, but it was still pretty good. I don't think Kazarian was anywhere near where he needed to be to present a serious challenge to James Storm, but overall the match was pretty good and it did what it needed to do, getting the crowd pumped up and ready for the event. So in that measure, it was a success.
Okay. Garth, how'd you feel about it? Opening match.
I was confused by it because all the reports that we got, before that was that James Storm was injured, like he broke a rib or there's something wrong with his ribs. So that's basically the excuse of why he was left off the pay-per-view. But then he still has a match, and the match it was actually pretty good. It was filler. But if you had to give a filler match to anyone, I think James Storm and Kaz were the guys to go with.
Well, and speaking on his injury, I heard, I noticed that Storm left his shirt on. He never took his shirt on. He never took his shirt off, possibly to hide any tape he might have. But if his ribs were injured, if he's got a legitimate injury, sending him out for a match was a really risky thing to do for TNA.
Yeah, very risky. But as far as the match goes, I was okay with it. It didn't really do anything. It didn't lead anywhere. It was just a waste time. And I thought, as far as a time waster, it was acceptable. Opening contest though, it didn't really get me excited. I don't think it got the crowd excited. So I would have put that somewhere else in the card, such as in between the AJ Daniels match and the main event, to give some kind of buffer, but we'll get into that part a little bit later.
It got the crowd excited after Storm won and looked down at Kazarian and said, now before I was interrupted, I was about to say sorry about your damn luck.
Yeah, I'm not saying...
That got a huge pop from the crowd.
Yeah, I'm not saying the crowd was dead for it. I'm just saying, out of all the matches on the card, I would have thrown something else there, like the X Division Championship, or even a Tag Team Championship would have been fine there. So,
all right. So speaking of which, the Tag Team Championships. Last week, you guys basically ripped Chavo a new one, saying that he didn't like. He really hasn't grown. He hasn't really done much as far as his moveset or his gimmick or anything like that. You feel like he's just coasting at this point. Given the fact that, with the match that happened, as it happened, and the fact that he's still holding the belt with Hernandez, how do you feel about that? Rob?
Well, since it was me saying it, I'm still there. I'm still feeling that Chavo
That's right, yes.
is not living up to what he should be. He's not as good as he should be. And this tag match was just an illustration of it. But at the same time, these aren't the best teams as far as chemistry goes.
But it doesn't seem like that. It doesn't seem like TNA's got like a definite plan where they want to go with the tag team division. So maybe just to try and help capture some of the Latino audience, they're going to keep it there.
Yeah,
there's been talk of them bringing in more luchador type stuff and some new guys, so it makes sense to leave the titles on them.
No, and I'm cool with leaving the titles on them, but I just don't think I don't think and maybe it's just me because this is how I feel, but I don't think that the crowd is behind Chavo at this point. It still seems like they're just feeling him out, trying to see what he can do. And really, like, he came back saying he was going to be dominant and that he wanted to fight like the best guys. And here he is in the tag team division against, not the best guys. But
at this point, Garvin, do you think this could possibly be, maybe not necessarily a shortcoming with Chavo, but a shortcoming with, Hernandez?
No, because we know what we have.
Chavo is supposed to help Hernandez?
We know what we have with Hernandez, and Hernandez can be good, but, generally, Hernandez is not the most consistent. With Chavo should be consistent, and he hasn't been.
Well, I think one of the problems, too, like I was saying, I don't know if it was on the pre-show or last week, one of the problems with Chavo is he's never really been good as a tag team wrestler. Chavo's always shined as a singles competitor. And I think that might be part of the reason for what we're seeing from Chavo, or the lack of what we're seeing from Chavo. It's the fact that, he tag team wrestling has never been his specialty, whereas with Hernandez, it's exactly the opposite. Hernandez has never really done well as a singles wrestler. He's pretty much a tag team specialist.
Yeah, I guess I can see your point there. But I mean, when we talked about this last time, I was the one who said that Hernandez is the one I want to see in Chavo, and I still maintain that. I still like seeing Hernandez grow as a wrestler. He's kind of stagnated the past few weeks, kind of, gone back to his usual stuff. And Chavo, yeah, he's just not. If you didn't know, here's the thing about Chavo. If you were watching TNA for the first time when he first came out, and you had no idea who he was or what that name meant, dude's boring. Dude is boring as hell. If you did not know what that name meant, he really is not that exciting. He's just not. He's okay on the mic and he's all right in the ring. And Garvin, you're right. He should be better, and he's not. And he should be better to hold the tag team championship.
Sure.
He's not. So.
Well,
okay,
hey,
so here's a question.
Go ahead, Joe. Ask your question.
I'll say here's a question out of left field though. Do you think Chavo is actually holding himself back by doing a lot of Eddie's old moves?
Yes.
Yes.
God, yes.
That's another thing that I think, not just me, but some of the other, like both Garvin and Harrison, I think have said, one of the biggest problems with Chavo Guerrero right now is he's trying to be Eddie Guerrero, and he will never ever be Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, and that's also being talked about in the live chat, Rob.
What was that?
Sorry, Rob. That's also being talked in the live chat. They're saying the same thing, that he needs a new move set.
Yeah,
What about bringing back Kerwin White? In all seriousness, something totally something that's totally not the stereotypical Chavo Guerrero.
Well, then you're still relying on an old gimmick. I'm thinking if Chavo's got to do it, he's got to come out as Chavo, not Chavo. I mean, not, Chavo, but like he's got to come out as him. He can't come out as an homage to his brother. He can't come out with an old gimmick. He's got to come out and he's got to kind of reinvent himself a little bit.
That'd be an homage to his uncle.
I'm sorry, his uncle. The Guerreros, that's one of those things where the Guerreros and the Hearts, I need two charts in front of me laying out how they're all related.
I don't mind Chavo using the frog splash.
No, that I don't mind. It's the Three Amigos triple suplex thing.
Yeah,
oh,
he
God.
cannot. The Three Amigos is where Chavo really falls short. He cannot do that anywhere near as quickly as Eddie Guerrero did.
And
But he's doing it.
That,
But he's at least doing it double time than when he did in WWE.
that is true. Yes.
It looks better, but it's still slow.
You could time a bathroom break to when Chavo starts busting out starts busting that out. You could just get, all right, well, I got at least 15 minutes. You can get a Divas match within that.
Hey, guys, listen. I don't want to talk about Chavo anymore. Can we talk about Matt Morgan and how awesomely they've built this guy?
Yes.
Yes.
Matt Morgan looked fantastic in this match. They have built him up as this monster again, and the one point that I think I made this on Thursday on our special is that they are doing exactly what we wanted them to do as far as two things. One, bill him as a monster and make him a monster, and two, give him someone else to talk for him. That's why this partnership was made, at least in my eyes. It looks like Joey Ryan is the mic guy, and the partnership between the two is not great, but as long as Joey Ryan is on the mic and Matt Morgan is destroying people, it works really well.
Oh yeah, hands down. And it's further proof that TNA listens to this podcast and steals all of our ideas.
Exactly. And I mean, that was one of the high points of the tag team match was when Hernandez and Morgan got in and just started matching strength with each other. That really worked well to continue the build of Morgan as this, as the tough guy, as the strong, as this unstoppable monster. I mean, a couple of times he even overpowered Hernandez.
And not only tough, but also just crazy. Like the cape, the whole thing. Matt Morgan's got this I'm a giant and I'm insane gimmick going for him. And it works so well because, like you're saying, Joey Ryan.
He doesn't have to say anything. He just stares into the camera from his cape. He just stares into the camera with that cape like, I'm going to fuck you up.
And just throwing it out there, his beard right now is pretty awesome.
How did I know you were going to bring that up? All right. Bully Ray and Austin Aries. We're not getting, I mean, given the circumstances of how this thing was booked, are we still happy with the match?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we had to suffer. This is like, we had to suffer through Thanksgiving dinner with our in-laws, but at least at the end we got turkey.
Kind of. I mean, I really liked the match. There was a lot of stuff about this match that really got me excited. Like, I marked out when Bully Ray pulled a drop kick out of nowhere. I'm like, holy shit! I mean, to watch Bully Ray do a drop kick was fucking awesome.
A missile drop kick.
Yes, a missile drop kick. And Austin Aries sold it so well, flying like halfway across the ring and getting tangled up in the ropes.
Pulling out his own personal Dolph Ziggler with that one.
And that's what I really like. That's one of the things that I really like about Austin Aries is that he can really, when a wrestler pulls out something new or when something needs to be sold, Austin Aries can sell it. I mean, anybody watching that match, you would think that missile drop kick could like destroy countries.
That's like a piece in the Middle East. Just send Bully Ray out there and you drop him from a plane. Turn the whole thing into a parking lot. Yeah, it was the only problem I had with this whole thing is, I mean, Austin Aries. I get the heel type of thing, but I mean, I really want to like the guy as a face because he is good, but he's also good as a heel. But then Bully Ray, I mean, here's the problem that we have here. Here are two guys who are, I mean, Bully Ray is amazing as a heel, and now he's kind of turning face. Austin Aries is also amazing as a heel, and he was okay when he was a face, but now they're in, I mean, do you see this feud between them kind of working for each other? Do you think Bully Ray could play an adequate face to Austin Aries, or do you think it's still going to be kind of weird?
I think he can. I mean, Bully Ray's played the face before. We've seen teases of it. I mean, when he was still with Team 3D, he had been a face. During the feud with his brother Devon, he was the face for a little bit when he pulled up.
Yeah.
When he was talking about how Devon said, "Well, you know what? Screw the crowd. We're rich."
Yeah.
And immediately switched the dynamic as to who was the face and who was the heel in that feud. So TNA has teased Bully Ray as a heel before. Austin Aries can be a great heel, but at some point in time, they're going to have to let Austin Aries be Austin Aries. They can't continue to keep him being a heel with constantly making jokes about Brooke Hogan. He's going to have to start. They're going to have to let him come out with his own stuff.
Yeah, he's going to have to actually go at Bully Ray with it. I mean, you can't just keep bringing the damsel in distress. Knockouts Championship. Mickie James and Tara. Rob, I mean, Mickie James is kind of thrown into this, and this is one of the things that we talked about when she came back, was like, I really hope that, yeah, now she's back, fantastic. Please don't give her the belt right away. How do you feel about this?
I like the match. I really think Tara needs a new gimmick. They need to get rid of Jesse. Although I did enjoy watching Mickie James kick the shit out of him. That was probably the high point of the match for me. Other
Not
than
when
that,
the two people who were I like that, Rob. Not when the two people who were booked for the match are going at it. No, it's when Mickie James is kicking the ass of a valet. That's solid.
A valet.
Valet. What else would you call him?
No, that's a good term.
He is her valet. Yeah,
it's a good term.
They don't have to be women. I don't think he's really her manager. But yeah, valet. It can be melee. I don't know.
If he is her Tara's manager, her career is about to end.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be her valet. He could go get her car.
Yeah, true. Overall, Rob, I agree with you. I think the match was good, but there's too many distractions happening. The first distraction is we both dislike Jesse. We also dislike how awkward Tara seems to be playing this role. And the thing is that I don't even know what they're building this feud on. It's just like Mickey shows up, Mickey gets title shot. That's all it is. What they could have done better was build up the idea of how much like history these two have. These two have been in 3 different companies together. They have fought so many matches. There's so much to go in between these two. That's what they should have been pushing. That's what would have made this more interesting. But instead, we get Jesse Goddard's and whatever it is we got.
Exactly. Mickey James and Tara have almost been rivals pretty much their entire careers. I mean, you've got a wealth of stuff to go on there. And I think you hit the nail right on the head, Garvin. It is awkward because you see stuff like Tara hits a couple of moves, and then being the wrestling veteran, she goes in to continue. She goes in to continue, and then, I've got to do this stupid fucking gimmick. Turns around and then forces herself to kiss Jesse and fool around with him. It's disrupting even to her.
Yeah, it's disrupting to me too. It just made me so jealous. All right, now the moving right along, we're just gonna burn through the rest of this. TNA, Team TNA versus Aces and Eights. The fact that Team TNA got the win. Do you think this is kind of hurting Aces and Eights storyline a little bit, Rob? I mean, real quick, we just kind of like where you see the Aces and Eights storyline a month from now, given it's kind of taken a back seat to this Brooke Hogan thing. Now they're losing matches. Do you think they're starting to slow burn this sucker away, or it was just a win? It's not a huge deal.
I think it's just a win, not a huge deal. Aces and Eights needed a setback. The last time they had the team battle, Aces and Eights won. I see this as kind of evening the field.
Okay, Garb, you agree with that?
No, not necessarily. I think they're handling this poorly. It's not just one loss for Aces and Eights. They've lost pretty much every match they've had except for Devon winning the title, and which was due to shenanigans, and Doc defeating Joseph Park. Those are your 2 wins of Aces and Eights.
The last team battle they had to get unfettered access to TNA. TNA
yeah, that
won.
one too. Or Aces and Eights one.
I think
okay.
That,
but still,
this is, I think. Well, shut up. Okay, so every time I try and talk, Garvin's like, but still. Okay.
Let me get my point in. I got a beard. Go on.
Exactly. I've got a beard too, bitch. So
mine's better.
I think.
Sorry, Joe.
Well, it's longer and there's more meat products in it, but I think that
that's what she
this
said.
is really, this is the point where Aces and Eights will end up revealing another member. I think that they're going to end up they're going to do something where we're going to know another member of Aces and Eights.
I disagree with that only because, the next 3 weeks of TNA is going to be taped, and I don't think they're going to do that on a tape show. Because the internet would explode. I think if they're going to do it, it's going to be the next
Why? They did all kinds of other shit on tape shows.
That's true. But since they've been going live for the past year, basically, I think we're going to have to wait until the next pay-per-view before we get that. I think they'll tease it, but I don't think they're going to actually reveal who it is. All right, so AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels, part 5,000. Final thoughts on this match before we move on? I know we said it was an awesome match. These guys do spectacular stuff. Garv, what do you got? You got another comment for this one?
Yeah, let me just clarify what I was saying before. I like the ending of this match because I wanted Daniels to win. I think that's the correct way to end this feud, or at least this part of the feud. I don't know about you guys, but I highly doubt this is the last time that these two are going to face. They're going to face again.
Oh, hell no. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hands down. You can't face this talent.
But generally speaking, as far as I can remember, and I'm not as big of a TNA fan as Rob has been. I've only been watching for 2 years now, but it always seems like AJ gets the better of Daniels. In just about every big feud, big match they have, it always seems like AJ is on top. So I like the idea of Daniels finally getting one over.
I only think that's the case because Christopher Daniels is not main event material. He's not world championship material, sadly. I mean, it just seems like that's how he is. So it always feels that way because AJ defeats Christopher Daniels and then goes on to bigger and better things. And it just feels like then Christopher Daniels ends up teaming with Kaz, and then we have the Claire Lynn storyline. But the point being, I think that it's a perception thing. I don't think it's really. Well, I mean, Rob, are you with me on that one, or you think Garvin's onto something?
I'm with you, Harrison. Christopher Daniels, for some reason, just doesn't strike people as main event material, and TNA's fired him like 2 or 3 times. There's a reason for that.
I forgot about that. All right. I completely forgot he was fired. World Heavyweight Championship. Wow. Here we are. Jeff Hardy, beat Bobby Roode. No one was. Was anybody really surprised at that?
No.
I wanted Roode to win.
I still cannot believe that, Rob. You thought Roode was going to win that? You thought they'd take the strap off Jeff Hardy, 2 months after he won it?
Yes, because you've got James Storm moving up now, and who better to pit James Storm against than Bobby fucking Roode?
I guess
Canyon. Who better than
They'd have
Canyon?
to dig him out of the grave first.
So?
Well, Rob, that mistake cost you because the winner of the Final Resolution predictions is unfortunately Lee.
Oh.
Damn it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Good job, Lee.
So Lee won, which I think that puts him in the lead. So not only did he win the draft, he won the TNA paper. Well, I guess it's a good thing he's not on because all we'd hear is, right, oh, cheerio, that's right, chaps. Oh, much better than you. Ippy, 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 ippy. As he goes off to chimney sweep, whatever the hell he's doing right now. All right, some TNA news. We do have a very large listenership in the UK. I really should not be making fun of them.
Really
That's
should.
Harrison at FTWpodcast.com.
Come on, man. Don't throw me under the bus. All right, some news from TNA. Kenny King was officially added to the TNA roster, which I find surprising. I thought he was signed like a month ago.
Signed,
Well,
yes,
well,
but we're
well,
talking about
yeah.
the home. We're talking about the website.
Oh, okay, I was about
They
to say.
finally
You know how
updated the
slow
website.
The TNA IT department is.
They only work 1 month out of the year, so they got to get it all done now.
Well, that's what happens when you use Blogspot for your host.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, Eric Young has announced that he has re-signed with TNA. No news or details as to what that entails, like if there's some limitations on when he'll show up or not. Do you think this is going to, I don't want to get too far into this. Do you think this is going to stretch him thin? Because his other show was picked up too. So do you think we're going to see more of him, or do you think it's going to be one of those things where he'll only show up 6 times out of the year?
I imagine
He's
they're taping right now because that's why they wrote him off. He was written off TV, so he's got a good 2-3 months before he would be physically able to return anyways.
I see what you're saying, because his show's not because TNA's taping next 3 weeks. Okay.
Right.
Rob, Joe, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm with Garvin on this. I think they write him out of the storyline so that he can tape his other show, and then he'll come back in to things later on in TNA, which I think is good. Eric Young is great for getting the crowd fired up, if nothing else.
Okay.
Rob's pretty accurate on that. He'll stick around. He'll tape a show. He'll come back from that quote unquote injury, and then when it's time for him to go tape another season, he's going to go off and go get ODB some more chicken
And disappear for months on end.
I'm still continually surprised it's actually chicken. I thought it was like he was coming home with like a stripper for a 3-way or something, but go figure. Jesse Sorensen posted a photo on Twitter showing him super buff and in shape, which is awesome because a return is probably imminent. Now, the question I have for you guys is, do you think this is related to the 1-3-13 videos that have been popping up?
No.
You don't think that's related at all? You don't think they're going to
Wow.
be using that to tease him to come back?
That's an interesting theory. I didn't think about that.
Because I was thinking about it with the 1-3-13 thing, and then I saw in our thing that Jesse Sorensen's coming back, and I'm like, oh, wait, that would actually fit pretty well, because I can imagine bring him in the new year. That would let it fire under the ass of the X Division if they wanted to do that. Other than that, I can't think of anybody they could either bring back and have it be a big deal, other than maybe 1-3-13 is the day that we're going to find out who's actually behind Aces and Eights. Hint, it's Eric Bischoff.
Well, 1-3. If you want to go 1-3-13, like I said, it's probably Chris Jericho. No, I'm kidding. We broke the code.
Joe, waka waka. You
no, but with
card.
the blood references, somebody had said possibly Sting. I think it's a little too harsh for Sting.
Yeah.
The one thought could be Abyss.
Right.
Yeah, that's where I would. That's kind of
like
where
that.
I'm leaning at the moment is Abyss.
But
Yeah,
if you look at the numbers, there was a suggestion on, I think it was it Facebook or Twitter, Garvin? Or even Google Plus, that it was possibly Alex Shelley.
Oh, Facebook. That was on Facebook.
That was on Facebook. Okay. Yeah,
Alex
so
Shelley.
yeah, 313, baby. It's Detroit.
Well, that's a fair point.
That is a good point.
And there's only one of them right now. 1313.
Yeah, that's that would be pretty clever if that's how they're gonna do that one. That would be
The only drawback to that one is that Alex Shelley's been out of the U.S. wrestling for about 3 or 4 months, and right before he left, and we even heard, I don't know if you heard it, Garvin. I mean, we watched him wrestle a match for Clash Wrestling,
Correct.
and we trying to get to talk to him after or later on during the intermission, and he was even saying, "Yeah, I'm going to Japan."
Right.
So, but he didn't seem to change gimmick. So
Yeah.
I think that it might almost be too jarring. You know, like you figure he probably would be practicing the gimmick over in Japan,
and then bringing it
to
over.
test it out to bring it over.
Yeah, but for only like a few months though. I mean, that's a long way to go to workshop something. I would understand.
No, that's to earn a paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a fair point. No, I was thinking if he's gonna, all right, if he had a pretty good deal in Japan and it was worth it, I could see that. But we're starting to stretch it at that point. If he actually,
I mean, he was one of the New Japan Pro Wrestling tag team champions.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but overall,
All right,
I like all
well,
of these options. I think all these options are awesome, except for Sting. I don't want Sting anymore.
It's Undertaker.
Could they form a new nation of domination?
Another thought that was pushed around was the idea that it could be just another Ring King guy. Like
So,
as far as debuting, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could work.
Or it could be Karma making a return to.
Yeah, that was
TNA.
another thing. And okay, we should say Karma would be awesome, but she did go on record saying she would never return to TNA. However, we did hear that from Chris Jericho the month before he returned to WWE. So it is a possibility, but I think it's a long shot.
If a wrestler needs money bad enough, they start rethinking, well, I'll never go to that company again.
Watch,
Money
it's
or
Angelina
integrity?
Love.
Oh, that would suck so bad.
And it's just that time of the month. That's why there'll be blood.
Oh, come on, Joe. No, I think all these guesses work. Either way, this is the one instance where we can say it's not Undertaker, and I'm happy about that. Because every time WWE does one of these, it's always, it's Undertaker. So we don't have to do that this time. Yay.
Yeah, because if Undertaker came to TNA,
That would be
Jesus H. Christ.
Holy crap. Man, you could hear the explosion from Vincent Kennedy McMahon if he sees that on TV. Boom. I mean, you would be able to see it from space. All right, speaking of TNA, we need to send a special shout out to a new friend. You can find all of our TNA discussions posted on TNAinsider.com. TNA Insider is a TNA news site, which also includes a pretty awesome discussion forum. So keep up to date with the happenings in TNA at TNAinsider.com and with your favorite podcast, the FTW Podcast. And that was the week that was in TNA. Jumping over to WWE. Whew, man. All right. Is there anything really that leaps out that anybody wants to talk about other than the slow death spiral that WWE Creative has been going through the past month and a half? No, really? Are we really just going to leave with that? Awesome. Joe, come on. You got to give me something. Give me something positive that happened this past week in WWE, because then all we're going to do is just shit all over everything else.
Cody's mustache.
Yes, okay. Cody
Cody's
Rhodes.
mustache.
There we go.
The return of Cody Rhodes. The return of Cody Rhodes. I was excited. And what does he return in? He returns in a fatal 4-way tag team match.
Yes. Yes, which was pretty spectacular. And the fact he decided to debut his new gimmick, our old junior high gym teacher, which is always fun to see.
He wasn't a lesbian. No,
Dude, he looks like a basketball coach.
He's got the pedo stash. What candy in the back of the van?
Yeah,
and then his compatriot, who's always walking around looking like he just came out of the shower wearing a bathrobe. They need to come down to the ring in a van that says free candy on the side. That should be their entrance.
It's Alberto Del Rio's gimmick. They just come down in like a rusty old Ford Transit Econo line with the windows all blacked out.
maybe a desert scene airbrushed on the side and slow, kind of painted over a little bit. Yeah.
No, I always like, my favorite thing about vans is the hyper fantasy van art you see where it's like some wizard on a mountaintop, skull fucking a lion or whatever, and there's lightning bolts and shit happening everywhere. That's the van they got to roll up in. Something from that, straight out of the 70s.
That's the second base mobile, baby.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I mean, it was great to see Cody Rhodes come back. Seeing him take some bumps off the top rope was good to see, showing that shoulder's okay. Great to see. I like the fact that Damian Sandow and Cody Rhodes ended up beating the Usos and the Primetime Players and the O's, the Primos and Epico tag team. I don't know what else to call them. Team Puerto Rico.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean, if you listen to fucking the theme music, it's the Primo bit. Yeah, it actually says, "Oh, Puerto Rico." So okay.
Okay, were they the ones that did the cooking show, or was that?
No, that was the Usos.
That was the Usos.
But hey, Joe,
right.
How awesome did the Usos look, though?
They did look good.
And not only did they look good, they got major props in commentary, and hopefully that's like a good sign, like that they're actually going to do something productive with them, because they also said they've been here for 3 years. And that doesn't seem like it's been that long, especially seeing how much they've not done.
Well,
but if you look at these tag teams, and I'm slightly switching gears away from the Usos here, but you knew that Epico and Primo were going to be the first ones gone. Why? Because on SmackDown, who did Epico and Primo lose to in a tag team match? The Great Khali and Hornswoggle. Seriously?
Yeah.
How bad are you destroying a tag team to have them lose to and really?
I want to say it's offensive, but that's exactly what they sound like.
The best part of this is that YouTube has started to auto-translate stuff, like for closed captioning. I can't wait to see what it uses for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Random groaning and noises.
Enter Mars Attacks here.
That is the translation for that.
He sounds like a Mars Attacks alien.
Right. But yeah,
God.
I mean, with the Usos and the Primetime Players, Road Scholars, you've got a lot of material there that you can work with to help create an interesting tag team division and give the champion something to work for. The only thing that gets me is, so now it's Road Scholars versus Ray and Sin Cara in a tables match to determine the number one contendership. Why did Ray and Sin Cara get that shot? That's what I don't get, why they're above everybody else.
Because the only thing you can say is you can take the cynical route and say it's Ray and Sin Cara. I mean, I know we've been saying that the tag division.
It's not like you could say it's affirmative action because there's other teams that are just as minority.
No,
I know. Joe at FTWpodcast.com.
we got to make it a soundbite where Garvey could just hit a button. You just got to take the cynical route and say it's Ray and Sin Cara, which kind of makes me wonder. They're kind of fast tracking to give them the straps at this point. I'm kind of picking them to win at TLC and then go on and take the belts off of Team Beard and Hell No, or Team Hell No, I guess.
Wait, who are you fast tracking?
Sin Cara and Ray, just because they didn't have to go through anybody and they're automatically in this match. I think they're going to beat Crossroads and then move on because.
No way, Crossroads is going to be the one to move on.
Okay, Joe, hold on to that. Well, hold on to that though, because let's face it, these two guys, Cody Rhodes and I mean, God damn. I mean, they're just so much better separate than they are together.
Yeah, same with Kane and Daniel Bryan. But, you know, I think right now it works because Sandow needs to learn from Rhodes. And Rhodes needs to actually learn. Rhodes is good on the mic, but he could learn from Sandow. And putting these two guys together, it works right now. They've already shown a little bit of dissonance, little team separation on, was it SmackDown?
No, I think it was Raw.
Or was it Raw, where they were saying, "Oh, well, you said Sandow's been saying in the locker room that he was carrying you," and blah blah blah. But I think that's false fodder for a team breakup and team destruction, and I think they're going to actually be the ones to take the straps off them, because then you can put the Usos against them, boom, or Rey and Sin Cara. I mean, it makes more sense for a heel team to come up, and.
But the problem with Sandow and Cody Rhodes, Joe, is that they are phenomenal separately, and together they're pretty good. But they are not as good as Team Hell No is together. And the sniping that they're having, I think that's classic team heel tag team type of thing that they always do. Whenever they have two people who traditionally aren't a tag team and they are heels, they always have them sniping at each other like that. Whereas they're kind of like, no, you're the asshole, cost us the match, and not to the extent that Team Hell No does it, but it's the. I just think that these two guys, and especially, man, Sandow's been on a tear, where he's just been, like you guys were talking last week, all the reminiscent of like $1 Million Man and Mr. Perfect, and who else did you compare him to?
Ravishing Rick Rude.
Ravishing Rick Rude, and he's just like this amalgamation of so many amazing 80s heels. It's like, and Cody Rhodes now, he had such a huge pop. Yeah, the mustache did do a little bit of work for him, but even before he was injured and left, he was doing amazing work. And I really got to think that these two guys, given how light WWE is in like the upper mid card, why wouldn't you break them apart, put them in there, and see what they can do? Because Sandow's going to get massive heat no matter what, especially now.
Well, yes, I mean, they're good as individuals, but I don't think that's enough reason considering how well they're doing as a tag team. I mean, we were looking them as to be the next tag team champions before Cody Rhodes got hurt. I mean, they were the guys. I still think it's, we have to give them time to really follow through with that before we separate them again.
Well, Joe, I mean, you're with that on that one. Do you think if we let them bake a little bit, something tastier will come out in the end?
Yeah, I think Rhodes Scholars has, they've got a lot of potential here to run the tag team division for a little while.
And you guys don't think that they have more potential separate than they do together? You think that interplay between them really works for them?
I think it works for them. I mean, with you saying, yeah, they're the potential for them separately is even better. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying for right now, this is a great solid way to build them, and it's going to give light to a tag team division. It's going to help elevate the tag team division. And when the time comes...
Whoa! Joe, where was this when Team Hell No won the belt and you were shitting all over it? And I think it was Rob and I were the only ones who said that, actually it might have been...
Because they kept... Well, no. They kept teasing that they were going to tear them apart. And no, it was you and Lee, because Rob and I were in agreement.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you old crotchety old guys who want everything
But you know what?
5.
They've done well so far. They've kept the team together. They've actually made it interesting. And that's what we wanted to see. That was our bitch.
All right.
Because we kept thinking, because we were all under the impression that after like 3-4 weeks, there goes the tag team titles off of them, and the division was going to languish.
All right, fair enough. I just had I wanted to call you on it, see if you could back up. And all right.
But Harrison, let's be clear though. I mean, the whole idea of Ray Cara being the next guys to be the tag champs, I think it's still a possibility. I still think that they're going to be the number 1 guys, or actually the number 2 guys outside of Crossroads. But I think they're going to be up there. I think they're going to be feuding for the titles moving forward still.
Well, yeah, it's just the only reason I say that it's that cynical side of me that I always shit on, but I can't knock it down. It's the fact that, like Joe said, I mean, they didn't even have a match to get this contendership match. I mean, they haven't had any kind of feud with Crossroads. All of a sudden, now they're in a tables and ladders and chair match on the pay-per-view for the contendership. I'm like, I don't know. It just smells to me like they're fast-tracking them through that, and they're just using Crossroads to kind of build up that feud. But regardless, all right. So, So the CM Punk thing, excuse me, CM Punk getting his knee is getting scoped, correct?
Already happened.
It did.
Okay, it already happened.
That happened the day. It happened last Tuesday.
Okay. So his knee has been scoped. He's probably going to be out. Well, the only comparison I have to this is the Browns running back Trent Richardson, who had his knee scoped, and he was out for 4 weeks, 5 weeks. He was out for the entire preseason, came back week 1. Garv, help me out with that. He was about for about a month, right?
Yeah, that's what they're predicting for Punk is about 3 weeks. Enough time that he can't compete here, but he can compete well at Royal Rumble, and that's what they're looking to build up now.
So here's the question: do you think that having Dolph Ziggler and John Cena for the Money in the Bank briefcase, do you think there's anything to this going forward? Because let's face it, going into Royal Rumble, all the implications are it's going to be Punk versus Rock. Do you see Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena having any legs to it? Because it is kind of slapped together. In the future, do you think that these two are going to be running a program that's going to last another month and a half, maybe 2 months?
I could see it. Dolph Ziggler and John Cena? Yeah. Right now it's working, and they want Ziggler to have this feud with Cena. Even if it's a short one now, I definitely see it down the line.
Yeah, they might not focus on it as much next month just because we got the Rumble. And obviously that's going to be the main focus for both of them, depending on what happens. But overall, I think it will. I think how they've built it so far, they're not just going to drop it and move on. I mean, they're knees deep at this point. They have to continue.
They're stuck and they got to deal with it. That's a fair point. The reason I bring it up is because it is. I mean, you don't want to say it's a step back for John Cena because it's just interesting if you would have said a year ago going into the Royal Rumble that 1 year from then we would be talking about CM Punk versus The Rock, and then John Cena would not be having a title, potentially not having a title shot on the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. That would be pretty surprising. I mean, you got to look at it that way and say that is kind of a left turn that you would never have expected. The other thing I want to talk about is on Raw, we got the return of Miz TV now, or another Miz TV. Joe, I mean, are you feeling like this kind of gimmick, this segment's getting kind of tired?
No. One, they're getting to use Abraham Washington's couches.
Brought those out of storage.
Yeah, they did. But it's a way to antagonize the heels for a change, which is something they normally don't do. Occasionally we'd get, like Edge's show, what is it, The Cutting Edge?
Yeah.
You occasionally get something like that, but most of the time it was heels, the highlight reel with Jericho. Most of the time when he did that, it was heel. And he, smashed a TV in someone's face. Roddy Piper, hit
Piper's Pit.
Had Piper's Pit and used the coconut, I mean, you had the funeral parlor with Paul Bearer.
Oh.
You had the Brother Love show. The snake pit with Jake.
Do you have a web page open with all these listed on there?
No, these are all great moments from my childhood. Big shit always happened. I was always curious when I was a kid. I was like, do the fans already see the funeral parlor set up or the barber shop? Is that already set up in the corner, or do they bring that out at a certain time? Or
okay, well, regardless, you like how Miz TV is kind of like poking the bear at the heel as opposed to
it's the anti-stereotypical show.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
And Miz is a good talker, so it works.
Well, but
he doesn't need Tony Atlas. He doesn't need Tony Atlas there laughing, going.
But that would be nice.
That would be, if he had a beard.
The thing for me is that I've hated Miz TV since it came back, except for this episode on last night's Raw. I think it worked. It worked really well. The crowd was really into it. Outside of Cody's mustache
but for
part.
Me, this was the weakest one in my opinion.
Okay. Well, hold on, Joe, because I want to counter Garvin with that one. So you're saying it's the strongest. Do you think that's down to Miz and the Miz TV segment, or is it down to the fact that Cody Rhodes debuted some new facial scruff, and the fact that Cody Rhodes and Damian Sandow both had a match earlier that day? So they had a lot of heat coming into it.
I don't think the match has anything to do with it. I think the mustache has a lot to do with it. But I think overall Miz connected a lot better with the fans this time around. They were reacting well to the jokes that he was making.
Pink and stink.
Well, that one I didn't get. I'm not sure where he was going with that.
Well, see, Garvin, in popular parlance,
I
Pink is a
understand the
women's
reference.
Oh, okay.
I just don't. I must have missed the part where, in context, that had any relevance to what was going on.
It really didn't, and that's one of the reasons why I think this is one of the weakest ones. Because it's like, you know what? After they left,
Okay.
he's like, "Yeah, I've got a new tag team name for you, Pink and Stink."
Yeah.
And that was really the end of the set. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Okay,
Great.
so it was awkward for you too. Then.
"Welcome to Parma, bitch."
Okay, yeah, it was. Yeah, that part of it was awkward, but this was also the first time that we've seen Miz TV since it came back, not in the ring. It didn't have the whole setup that we were talking about, Joe, where he had the couches and whatnot. It was on the stage, and that was a nice change.
But they had the couches on the stage.
Did they? Because they stood the whole time.
Yeah, I know, but the couches were out there.
It is kind of weird.
Because there were a lot of references to, wow, they're just using AW's old set. Because all he had was two couches, one for Tony Atlas, one for the guest, and then they had a desk, but they didn't use the
I wonder
desk.
if Abraham Washington actually picked those couches out. Because I'd be pissed if I was Abraham Washington. That's my old furniture. I wanted that when I left. All right, so Joe, you think it was the weakest? I mean, other than the Pink and Stink comment, I mean, was there anything else? I mean, come on, what sucked about it?
It seemed to be it tried way too hard.
Miz's jokes are lame. They're very lame.
Definitely in that one.
Yeah.
Miz as a face isn't as funny. I mean, you want some pure awesome Miz?
Yeah.
You go back to when he was doing the highlight or the what the hell was the name of the show? The show he did with John Morrison. Megan Morrison.
Yeah.
That was good. That was pure genius. That was hilarious. But
It wasn't the highlight reel. It was
no, Chris Jericho's was the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Something Hollywoodish.
The dirt sheet.
The dirt sheet. There you go.
There it is.
Thanks,
thanks,
Robert, in the live chat.
Dude, he is on fire.
He stumped Joe.
Hey, not everybody can be Bill Martell.
He beat you to it.
Actually, it's probably before the Bill Martell encyclopedia kicks in.
That guy is just weird.
Or after, I mean.
Regardless. So, I mean, you're thinking Miz as a face is kind of weak. With this.
With these jokes right now, yeah.
That's fair.
But I think Miz as a face is definitely something we need.
Okay.
For him to develop for the WWE in the future.
Okay. Now, Antonio Cesaro, I do want to talk about him for a bit. Beating Kofi Kingston. Garv, do you feel like this guy, I mean, why? It doesn't, it's one of those things where, I mean, for us, we like him. He seems to kind of be getting over, but he's not really making that next, I don't know, crossing that threshold. I mean, what do you think?
I think Cesaro has been awesome. I know there's a lot of hate for him in the IWC for whatever reason. And even non-IWC members they just don't get what he's trying to do. But the work he's doing in the ring, especially this match on Raw, he's come to his own, or he's come into his own rather. And I think overall, we are looking at a real future star here if they continue to push him. If they keep him in his gimmick, which is most likely what's going to happen, I think he can survive as long as they give him consistency. And right now, they're pushing him to the sky, it seems. Like he's getting wins over Kofi, and they're putting him in the ring with likes of Wade Barrett, who most are seeing as a top-level guy. So I definitely think that it's awesome. And his match against Kofi this week was spectacular.
All right, Joe, you got any final points about WWE?
Well, Antonio Cesaro is. I mean, Garvin's right. His work is awesome. He's been doing really well with Wade Barrett. He's been doing great with Kofi. R-Truth, well, he's going against R-Truth, so what can't do a whole lot. But I think that, like, the crowd is having trouble connecting with him. But he seems to have turned the corner with that Fatal 4-Way for the U.S. title last week. That was just a mind-blowing match. And to see him continue this thing with Kofi this week, this is some serious shit. Like, this guy is a guy to watch. This isn't like, hey, Kozlov's a guy to watch. And no, this is Cesaro really is money. This is a guy who's going to stick around for a while. Just the in-ring work is just top notch.
And he was getting great reactions from the crowd during this match. So
So then the question is, do you make him kind of like the silent, I don't want to say wrecking ball, but you don't have him go on the mic, you just have him come out, do his match, do an amazing job, get some good heat, and then move on? Do you not give him the mic for a little bit, let that whole, Babblefish gimmick kind of cool down, or do you kind of ramp that up? Do you think, all right, well, he's getting good heat in the ring, let's give him the mic, let's have him work with us a little bit?
Well, just to be clear, they have moved on from the Babblefish gimmick. He's not doing that anymore. Right, he's doing the basically the U.S. is awful and everything they do is awful.
Okay.
And I'm
he's
so much
still
better.
he's still doing a touch of the Babblefish thing. He's still
It's
bringing
just
out
one language, though, I thought.
They are still referencing the fact that he speaks 5 languages. And
Sure.
Regardless, the point being that stink is still on him, and yeah, he's playing the archetype European role, like that every other British heel has done in the history of pro wrestling. My question is, do you then put him back on the mic? Because it doesn't seem like it's a good time to do that, or do you kind of let that cool, let his ring work speak for him for a little bit?
I wouldn't take him off the mic.
No, neither would I.
Mic. Yeah, I would keep him on and keep him going. I think he's doing great.
Okay.
I mean, the mic skills can only improve unless you're R-Truth. And I think that if it's just his ring work is awesome and it's growing in awesomeness, to overuse the word awesome.
Wow, we are not the New York Times.
I'll just bust out my thesaurus and see.
Wait. How did you say that?
I said thesaurus on purpose. Yes, I did say that on purpose. Because if anybody knows how to use a thesaurus, it's sometimes me. But they can only, the in-ring work is really getting him noticed right now. Mm-hmm. And the mic work is helping his character grow, and it'll all come together. It will. It's just taking more time. It's, they're not investing more into him than they had ever in Tensai.
Yeah, absolutely a fair point. No, this guy is money, and I do want to remind the fans that we are completely undefeated when it comes to picking the next big talent in either wrestling program. I mean, we correctly predicted that CM Punk would have an amazing year. That not only would that, but Dolph Ziggler, and we predicted Austin Aries. I think the first match we said this guy is it. So look for Cesaro to have an amazing run next year. He'll be the breakout star of 2013 because we can start talking about that now. All right, let's talk about TLC for a little bit. Now, we're just going to quickly run through the TLC card. As we know it right now, there's some stuff that's got to be worked out a little bit, and we'll talk about it more in depth. We have our annual our pay-per-view pre-show. We're doing our one for TLC this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern right here on FTWLive.com. First up, though, we got 6 matches booked. We're looking at the pay-per-view. There's probably enough room for another match and maybe 2. Few big names aren't booked. CM Punk obviously isn't booked, even though he has a strap, but, with the knee getting probed, who knows. Eve is also not in a match, even though she's got the belt. PTP aren't booked, and then there's Epico Primo. The three-man band, Kali and Hornswoggle could make a debut and really just light up Joe's day. Miz also isn't in a match. Neither is Otunga. Orton also. ADR and Brodus Clay. So a couple big names still lacking on the card, and who knows if they're going to have any matches. Divas #1 contendership match. This has the Divas division, basically, and a Santa's Helper Battle Royale. Over/under this match goes 12 minutes.
No, doesn't even get 8.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, this is the YouTube
under.
pre-show. This is way under. This is like 5 minutes, maybe. I mean,
Look
once
for
the
an
match
Italian,
starts,
man.
yeah. Once the match starts, maybe 5 minutes.
Okay, so we're thinking the total YouTube stream time would be roughly about 15 minutes, including build-up and assuming 8 commercials for the TLC pay-per-view.
No, it'll be about a half hour because they're going to recap Raw. They're going to recap Cena.
there we
They're
go.
going to recap Sheamus and Big Show. They're going to recap Jesus and Vince and talk about the Rolling Stones, who at that time will have done their show the night before, so they can finally stop fucking advertising it and not advertising TLC. Did you notice that? There was not a single commercial for TLC on Raw, but there was like 8 for the Rolling Stones show that WWE is producing.
No, TLC, no, they had a segment on TLC.
They had a segment. They did not air a commercial.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, they don't really do that, though. Usually,
Yes, they do.
No, the Go Home Raw, they don't really air commercials. They just run through the card and they say, coming up on TLC, and then they show the graphic with the 2 guys.
They usually at least run the promo at least once, a couple of times.
No.
It's either that or they're like, fuck, we're not going to get any buy rates for this now that Punk's on it. Fuck
Just
it.
voted.
Might as well bring in the dead, bring in Mick Jagger.
All right.
Crap.
Garv, you got something for us?
Yeah, Diva Jill was in a live chat and said that AJ had been removed. The Funkadactyls were added. But I'm looking at WWE.com right now, and none of them are on the match, from what I can tell. There's only 5 people here. It's Caitlyn, Alicia Fox, Layla, I think that's Rosa Mendez, and Tamina. So it's possible that it's just them now, but, this match could change, and it probably will change, and they'll probably add more people. But if they are removing AJ from this match, though, they might be opening up the door to maybe like an AJ versus Tamina filler match being added. That's a possibility. So anyways, I just want to throw that out there. We'll know more when we do the main TLC special on Saturday.
Wow, awesome, Garv. Way to get that plug in there so people tune in. The tag team #1 contenders match, this is what we were talking about earlier. Cody Rhodes and or Crossroads or whatever else you want to call him versus Ray Cara in a tables match. I'm not super excited. I mean, this should be a pretty good match. I'm a little. I mean, this will be the first time. This is the first time Sin Cara is going to be in a tables match, right? I think so. Am I wrong on that one? Anybody? Bueller?
As far as a tables match, no, but Sheamus put Sin Cara through a table when he got injured that one time. You remember, to take him out for however long he needed to go out?
Yeah, but it wasn't a tables match.
I forget what match it was, but there was a table involved. Or maybe that was a ladder. It might have been a ladder at ringside.
So, can you remember if Sin Cara was ever in a tables match?
He was in a TLC match and got the shit fucked out of him.
Yeah, that might have been it.
That might be what Garvin's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Because when I look at this match, that's the only area I'm a little about. I mean, I'm pretty sure Rey Mysterio put on a pretty good match, and same with everybody else. But I look at Sin Cara and I think, I don't know about Sin Cara in a tables match, just because I think he's going to be too fast. Cody Rhodes is looking good coming off of his injury, but he's still going to be kind of, I won't say ring rust, but he's still going to need to warm up a little bit. And Sin Cara, I don't know. I mean, we call him Botch Cara for a reason.
But I mean, let's be honest. We call him Botch Cara, but in recent months, man, he's been doing really well.
Agreed.
Joe, I hate it when you start complimenting people. It makes it so hard to not like you. All right,
Hey, he slowed it down a little bit, and he's actually improving. So,
Well, this is what we talked about when he first came in. We were talking about he's just too fast for the talent, and that's one of the problems, is that he's going to be one of those guys that has to slow down because the roster isn't going to catch up to him. And yeah, he's got to adjust to the people he's around, and it seems like he's been doing that. U.S. Championship, we got R-Truth versus Antonio Cesaro. Cesaro seems to be on a tear. Does he continue such tear? Anybody think that, what do you guys think about this match? You think it'll be a good one? I mean, I know, Joe, you're kind of biased against R-Truth, but do you think Cesaro will put together something good?
It's not going to be a good match, but I'm going to say Cesaro is going to retain. Only because R-Truth, U.S. champion, he's been champion before, and he's not a good champion. No, I mean, he had a bad run before, and I don't think the crowd's behind him enough for him to be the guy to topple Cesaro.
All right, that's fair. I think that's fair. Personally, for me, R-Truth is good. He just got to drop the little Jimmy gimmick. I'm so tired of that. Garv, what do you think?
Actually, if you noticed on Raw when he came out, there was no little Jimmy, and there was no reference to him. So quite possibly he has dropped the little Jimmy gimmick. This is the first show that I've noticed it.
Actually, you didn't notice the shirt he was wearing, which is a little Jimmy shirt.
Well, that's merchandise.
If they're gonna drop the little Jimmy gimmick, that's gonna be one of the first things to go.
Unless they're trying to just clear inventory.
Even then, all you gotta do is have R-Truth come out and still be a face. Kids will still buy the damn shirt.
Oh, yeah, possibly. All right. No, I mean, I like R-Truth. I don't think he's going to do... Well, it'll be interesting to watch what he does with Antonio Cesaro, because I know we talk about R-Truth and how he's not, all that great, but he is pretty decent as far as mat work. I mean, he's not really... He's okay as far as a high flyer. I mean, he never really could keep up with, like, Jim Morrison or with Morrison or anything like that, but I think he's all right in the ring, and I think he could work something pretty decent with Antonio Cesaro. It'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
You said Jim Morrison, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I caught myself.
Okay, but as far as my pick for this match, I am going to go with Cesaro as well. But the saving grace is if he loses, then they could push him forward, like to the IC title or something, and continue the good matches that they've had so far between Kofi Kingston and Cesaro.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I was thinking too, was you could have him drop the belt and go right into a program with Kofi Kingston, but I still like the champion versus champion aspect of it, which is why next, when we go to the IC belt, I know Wade Barrett has been doing awesome, but I still think
I was going to say, I was going to make the suggestion that Wade Barrett wins the IC title, maybe Cesaro gets involved, does something, and Kofi comes after the US title. And you get a nice program out of the two of those guys.
I would like that.
I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking champion versus champion. But yeah, I like that a lot. All right. And I do think Wade Barrett deserves a belt. He's been doing fan-freaking-tastic, even though he is British. He's been doing fantastic lately. So yeah, I like that idea, Joe. I'll stick with that one. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you guys on that one. Sorry, I was muted. So.
Just making sure you weren't taking a nap, that's all. Sorry. Look, I did it to Joe on our WrestleMania show, so I had to do it to you here. He was so mad. We were in Joe's basement, and I just turned to Joe, and I'm like, Joe, what do you think? And he's like on his phone playing, I don't know, Angry Birds or whatever the hell you were doing.
No, I was actually looking up information for the fucking show.
Whatever. You shot me the dirtiest look.
I almost put my iPad through your skull.
That was awesome. All right, I'm sorry.
At least I can drink a Boddington's. That's all.
Yes, you can chug a Boddington's. Good job, Joe. I'm sure battery acid's pretty good, too. Why don't you chug-a-lug that, too? Get a hole in your heart. All right, so, I'm sorry, Rob, you were saying Wade Barrett. You like Barrett getting the belt here?
Yeah, Wade Barrett's definitely deserving of it. I mean, he's been doing some great work. I mean, I've been a fan of his pretty much since he debuted, and he's been really moving upwards. So I'd give my I would put my money on him.
Okay. Garv, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the scenario that Joe laid up. So I'm gonna go with Wade Barrett as well, and yeah, that's all I got.
I want to say the last time, Joe, you came up with an idea we all liked, it didn't happen. So I'm wondering if I should go with Kofi.
Yeah, well, regardless if it happens or
Harrison?
not,
Do what you want.
But Joe, leave me alone.
No.
Yeah. You know what? You can host the rest of the show. Not as easy as you thought it was it? Money in the Bank ladder match. Here we are. This is the match that had the IWC pissing in their collective bed. Dolph Ziggler versus John Cena, because John Cena has the potential of having not only, he had the Raw Money in the Bank, but now he can potentially have the SmackDown Money in the Bank, and I think it would be epic if he lost that one too. All right, so here we are. This match. Do you guys think this will be a pretty decent match as far as everyone concerned?
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be one of the matches of the night contenders. Just because Dolph Ziggler is phenomenal. As far as my pick, I'm going to have to keep the Money in the Bank with Dolph Ziggler. I think that makes the most sense. I really don't. I don't understand why Cena is fighting for it. I think this was like an instant reaction. They knew CM Punk was hurt, so they wanted to do something fancy, just in case they didn't have him. So they put that on the line just in case there was nothing else to do.
Oh yeah, hands down. That's exactly what they did. I mean, I'm sorry. You know what, Joe, Rob, give your points, because I got one. It's a little esoteric, but yeah, you guys can go first.
I'm gonna say Dolph Ziggler is gonna take it. I think that it's really time to have Cena help bring up younger talent and help them get over. And I think Ziggler's a guy who really does need. I mean, the WWE needs to truly give him that nod, and by going over on Cena, will totally do that.
Okay, Rob, what do you think?
I agree that sounds good in theory, but given how long Cena's been without the title, I wouldn't be surprised to see them actually give him the Money in the Bank title as a way for John Cena in the future to get back in the title race. Other than, the fact that John Cena can walk into Vince McMahon's office and say, I want a world title shot or a WWE title shot, and get it.
Rob, I think you got that one backwards. I think Vince McMahon walks into John Cena's office and says, you're getting a title shot.
That could be. That could be.
My thing for this is just, like, remember when we talked about, it was a few pay-per-views ago, I said, like, the big thing that going into this was, with the Ryback situation, was this is going to be a big test for me, because I want to see if WWE Creative can write their way out of this. And it's not working. I don't know if it's the head writer or what's going on, if it's I don't know if it's their equivalent of showrunner or whatever it is. Whoever is, it's not working. It isn't. I mean, we're just getting one terrible decision after another, and I can't help but feel that this is just more evidence of it. They just can't seem to write their way around problems. And when things are going great, it's easy because you can basically do whatever you want. But now WWE is forced to write around these situations, and they can't. And they've been doing a terrible, terrible job of it. And I just look at this and I'm like, you can't put it at Vince McMahon's feet. You can't put it at the talent. You can only point to WWE Creative. And I know the IWC loves the shit on these guys, but this is perfect evidence right here. So regardless, I'm taking Dolph Ziggler just because I think he deserves to keep I wanted to beat Big Show to get the World Championship because we've been predicting this happening for like a half a year now, and it hasn't happened. So damn it has to cash in at one point. All right, speaking of which, World Heavyweight Championship match, Sheamus versus Big Show in a chairs match. Who are you picking to win, and does Dolph cash in? Joe, you got Sheamus winning this, and then Dolph's going to cash in and beat Sheamus?
I'm not sure if Sheamus is actually going to win this. I mean, it sounds nice, it's lobster head, but
Where do you get these nicknames?
okay, so you've never heard his theme song. Okay. But Big Show is a possibility, but then if Dolph's going to cash in, I mean, do you put the Money in the Bank ladder match earlier on in the show? I don't know. Yeah, fuck it. I'll go with Sheamus and then a Dolph cash in. What the hell?
Okay. Anybody else, Garth?
Yeah. On that thought, Joe, I mean, do you think that the Money in the Bank match has to happen after this match?
Not necessarily.
Because I still like the idea of Dolph cashing in the Money in the Bank, getting the title, and then saying, oh, look, I don't have to defend the Money in the Bank against John Cena anymore, and then them putting the world title on the line instead.
I mean, they could do that. I still find that incredibly awkward. But if they do that, I still think Jericho, listen to me. I think Ziggler's going to win, a la Jericho winning 2 matches to win the Undisputed Championship. That's where I was going with that.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
but I don't think Cena would walk out with the world title.
No, neither do I.
No. Rob, what do you think?
Rob.
There he is.
I'm pretty much with Joe on this one.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, you got to remember, Rob is like his Chicago Bears. Takes some time to get going, but once he does, he's good to go. WWE Championship. Team Hell No. I'm sorry. This is Team Hell No and Ryback versus The Shield in a TLC match. Shield has, I mean, look, I kind of crapped on this gimmick when it first came out, but this thing has been on a tear. I'm loving it so far. What do you guys think? I mean, do you think Team Hell No and Ryback are going to take down The Shield, which is essentially a bunch of brand new guys? What do you think, Garth?
No. No, I don't think so. I think The Shield walk out with the win. But I think we're going to see some good things from Ryback and Team Hell No. I think overall, this will be my match of the night. Just because, not necessarily of the wrestling involved, but just the overall story. I'm really, really digging it.
See, I think that Team Hell No and Ryback are going to win the match. I think they will beat the Shield. Because a lot of times when WWE's had this, and they have a faction come in, and they just have them lose. It's just, I don't know. I don't see the potential in the Shield. I don't think the Shield's going to win. And for some reason, I think it's going to be Roman Reigns who's going to be the guy who takes the fall.
But it's too early to do something like that. I think if they're trying to make this team look strong, the last thing you want to do is give them a loss. Otherwise, we're running into a similar situation that we have with Aces and Eights.
Didn't we also have
the fucking core versus the Nexus and all that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's good booking, but I foresee Ryback winning it. I mean, because being a TLC match, what are you supposed to climb and get off the ladder?
True, and Ryback hasn't had big pay-per-view wins yet. He's lost both of them, so I mean,
it's the Ryback factor. I think Ryback in this instance will win. Other than that, I would say the Shield would win, but it's fucking Ryback.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like the thing about Ryback losing both pay-per-view wins, it was kind of like not. Well, that's the thing though. He could also technically lose this and not lose it. Like he could be outside the ring, beating up the Shield, they slide in and take out Kane.
Yeah, but how many times are you going to do that to him? I mean, we've said the same thing the last 2 times.
Yeah,
like he can win without winning, type of thing, which is what he's done.
Well, no, he wouldn't win this. He would just lose without losing.
Right.
It's exactly the same thing you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where at some point, WWE's got to rip off the Band-Aid. They just got to have this guy get fucking pinned. And maybe all three Shield guys piling on top of each other like a dog pile. Maybe that'll do it. I don't know. I just think at some point Ryback's shoulders have to hit the mat for 1, 2, 3, and I do not see that happening this time.
You know what? I'm going to change my vote. I'm going to go with the Shield winning this.
Yes.
Because right when you think Ryback's going to win, you're going to hear Brock Lesnar's music.
You would bust that out on TLC? I figured you'd say that for Royal Rumble.
No, that's when the match may happen.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, no,
that they're building to Mania. Ryback versus Lesnar. Meat Hook versus Meat Hook.
Well, yeah.
And I love the fact that they're calling that clothesline of Ryback's the Meat Hook clothesline. That's just awesome.
Well, the only problem I have with him doing it at the Rumble is that then you have Punk and Ryback, and then Punk and Rock, and then now you have Ryback, and I just think it'd be overshadowing it if you're having Rock come back. If you're going to overload a show, they tend to overload WrestleMania, not really any of the other pay-per-views.
No, I mean, they could have a confrontation between Ryback and Brock, but have it not come to a head until WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so we'll get more in depth on this on Saturday here at 1 p.m. Eastern on FTWLive.com, along with Mike from PWTorch.com. He'll be on.
That fucking guy.
I'm assuming we're going to treat him with just hugs and cookies, and it won't be awkward or hilariously vindictive at all. So definitely tune in for the return of Mike.
That's what you can expect.
Yeah. This will not be a quiet show. Let's put it that way.
Well, no, because we're going to have Lee there, too.
Oh, good Lord. We are going to have Lee. Oh, God. He's going to be all wound up and everything, too. Oh, and he's not even going to be on this week, so he's going to be like, everything that happened this week leading into it, it's all going to be like saved up and bottled inside that little British head of his. All right, so the Slammies are on Monday. My favorite thing about the Slammies, we were talking about this before, is that we all hate on the Slammies, and the only thing that we as a show can remember we liked about the Slammies was a few years ago, Ms. Girl. That was the only thing we could remember as a group we actually liked about the Slammies, and I cannot think of anything individually. It's always terrible. So that's coming up. So look forward to that on Monday. Other news, Michael Manna, also known as Stevie Richards, did an interview with WWE today about its version of ECW. Here's an excerpt from the man itself. How would the new ECW have succeeded? His answer, doing the opposite of everything they did. Whew, that sounds kind of harsh.
Yeah, granted he's moved on a whole lot, doing a tech show and occasionally getting in the ring. But man, is he just overly bitter, seemingly, about ECW and just the way wrestling has gone.
Which is, you really almost wish, I mean, I guess you could look back and say it's justified. I wish he would move on because his tech show, if you guys are interested in tech, it is pretty good. I mean, it's not up to caliber like some of the big leaders of that, like The Verge or Twit or something. He doesn't have the production value, but as far as one guy with a laptop essentially doing a tech show, it's pretty good, and he knows his stuff. So if you are interested in it, I would suggest you check it out. And then just if you email him, don't ask about ECW. Let's help him through this as a community. Let's come together and,
but it is good that he actually is pretty open and engaging with people who come to him and have questions about tech.
Yeah, it's true. Didn't Raven get into a fight with somebody over that or something? I want to say he punched somebody out when someone was asking him about it. I mean, yeah, there are a bunch of guys.
Not to my knowledge, but no, he just recently wrestled or is planning on wrestling Raven. There was a confrontation at a recent show between the two of them that's setting up a match for, I think, later this month.
Okay, cool. I'll be interested to hear about it.
Or January, I'm not sure which. So.
All right, will be interesting to see. All right, moving right along. It is now time for Ask FTW. You ask, we answer, and we're just going to dive right in here. Concerning TLC, Michael Lively said, since the Cena-Ziggler match for the Money in the Bank case, you would think it would be better for it to be a TLC match, or basically some chance that the World Heavyweight title opens the show. Ziggler cashes in. He ends up having to defend the belt against Cena. Basically, he's the opinion that championship matches should close the show. Do we, well, you know what? What do we think about that, Joe? I know what your answer is going to be.
The WWE title should close the show. The world title, we've already seen, apparently opens the show quite a bit, including at WrestleMania a couple years running at least. So, yeah, the WWE title needs to close the show.
All right, Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, especially since the last WrestleMania, their world title match only got 6 seconds.
18
seconds.
It was supposed to be 6 seconds.
Yeah, it was 3 times longer than you thought, Rob. Jeez.
Oh, well, excuse me. 18 seconds adds so much prestige to the belt.
All right. It really does. It shows they respect it.
It's 3 times more prestige than the 6-second match.
All right. So, Rob, I mean, you're of the opinion that a belt should close the show?
Unless it's a very special match, like Cena versus Rock or something like that. Yeah, usually the WWE title should close out the show.
Okay. Garv, what do you think?
Generally speaking, yes. But I think this is one of those scenarios where them having another match and the show, I think, works better. I could see the whole Ryback, Team Hell No versus the Shield ending the pay-per-view. I could see Cena versus Dolph ending the pay-per-view. But I don't necessarily see.
In both these situations, though, Garvin, the WWE title is not available.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem, Joe. And for me, I mean, even if it was, I'm personally, and I understand where you're coming from, guys, with having the main belt close the show. When it comes to a pay-per-view, if it's the namesake of the pay-per-view, like TLC, like Elimination Chamber, even Royal Rumble, I'm fine with the namesake of the pay-per-view being the final match. So for TLC, have it be the TLC match, whatever that is. And in this case, it's Team Hell No and Ryback versus the Shield. Have Royal Rumble actually close the pay-per-view. Right. I like that idea because it kind of makes it seem like a bigger deal and that it is kind of about this match. So as far as TLC goes, we're in a situation where the belt's not available. I'm okay with it, and I'm happy. And even if it was, I'd be okay if it was a TLC match that closed it in whatever capacity that may be. I think that's a fair compromise. Anyway.
Haven't there been a couple of Royal Rumbles where the Royal Rumble match closed out the show?
Most of
the time they do.
And all but I think it's 6 Royal Rumbles, because there was a show that I wasn't on that I listened to, and Mike made the statement that they don't always close it, and I was about ready to rage. I was like lining up my cards for the next week. I'm like, I am totally gonna I did my research, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, he knows his stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
I know it's rare that it doesn't, but that's my point, is that I can understand, or something like a Survivor, if they ever did decide to do a Survivor Series pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Bust that out from 1994.
Because Royal Rumble is so long, you almost have to make
2012.
Well, whatever. Anyway, the point is...
I know you're referring to the 1 year, the only 1 year where they took all the heel winners and all the face winners and put them into a match together.
Yes.
But yeah, man, that
the
was
actual.
At least you didn't say that Team Hell No is the best tag team since the 80s again.
Yeah. Oh,
God. But the point is a Survivor Series match that actually is a Survivor Series match. I mean, it's like the whole thing. Well, regardless, that's my point. Like a TLC match, even if the belt was available, if CM Punk was available, I'd be fine with the last match being the TLC match, as long as that's the only one on the card. If there's like 2 or 3, then it kind of loses its point. Like Money in the Bank always closes the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I mean, regardless, like I'd be fine with that, regardless of what belt.
No,
I know. Last year it was the WWE title, but that's my point.
It was Cena versus Kane for the ambulance match.
Money in the, that's right. Yeah, last Money in the Bank. Yeah. Well, anyway, my point is, Money in the Bank would be a great example. Have the Money in the Bank pay-per-view close with the Money in the Bank WWE. Anyway, we talked about this way too much. All right, Jesse Lux asked us, do you guys think that the Road to Hell promos in tonight's Impact are for Abyss? The 1-3-13 thing. He's been waiting for him for so long now. I know we talked about it a little bit, but I don't want to specifically, we kind of glossed over names that we were tossing out here, but specifically Abyss. All right, he has been gone for a while. All right, he has been quote unquote gone for a while. Could we see a return of Abyss? Joe?
Sure, we could. I mean, that was one of my top runners. I actually thought a return of Raven could be possible.
I don't know, man.
I know. It could be worse. Could be Sandman.
You mean awesome?
Huh?
What, Sandman? I think that'd be fit. I mean, no, it'd be a disaster, but it'd be fun to watch.
I don't even think it'd be fun to watch. I just feel like weeping.
Fair enough.
For the fans, you have to actually watch it.
Rob.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Rob, do you think there would be a return of Abyss?
I'd like to see Abyss. I think he's the favorite. The other thing I've been kind of thinking of, rolling around in my head, is that it might not be the return of an individual wrestler. It might be like maybe some sort of a mini tournament or something leading up to Genesis, or some new gimmick that they're introducing. I don't know.
Ooh, Main Event Mafia. The return of the Main Event Mafia.
Moving right along.
Somebody needs to hit you in the head with a kendo stick, Joe.
Sandman reference.
The live chat wants to see someone getting hit in the head with a chair, so that could work out.
That could work out too.
Yep.
Wait a minute, Sabu. Homicidal Genesis? No.
No. All right, so
Facebuster.
Abyss.
Yeah, as far as Abyss,
The Abyss.
I love the idea. I think it would be, pretty cool. But we have to keep in mind that it's not like they've completely separated themselves from Joseph Parks, and I think it would be tough to continue what they've been doing with Joseph Parks on those segments. Like, he hasn't been on TV, but he's on the phone with Hogan, twice in the last month. So if they keep making references like that, that's implying that he's like 3-4 months away from returning. So if Joseph Park is set to return in 3 or 4 months and they bring in Abyss, I don't know if they could do both. I think it would be it'd be difficult.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one, Garv, because they are kind of keeping Joseph Park laying around. I still think they really missed an opportunity when Joseph Park was kidnapped by Aces and Eights to have him turn into Abyss. And like I was saying, right there when he was handcuffed in the side of the ring, that would have been a fantastic time where he busts his way out and he turns into Abyss, because that would have been moment of the night if that would have happened, just because all of a sudden shit got real. Because, Abyss, the character and everything is so... He is almost like TNA's version of Undertaker, where he has such a great mystique and character about him, and that they can do this kind of thing where, like we're saying, we're having people writing in asking, where the hell is this guy? We want him back. And there's not many TNA talent that you can say that about. So I really think that they should bring him back, but like you're saying, Garb, the fact that they're keeping Joseph Park around, it does make it difficult. Unless he has a third personality that we don't know about, in which case that would just make things ridiculous.
It's just because if they bring Abyss back in this role, that's a pretty big deal, I think. And it would mean that they would be pushing him pretty hard. And you can't push both things at the same time. Obviously they wouldn't push Joseph Park as hard, but people would still want to see him in some capacity. And are you going to work Park out twice on a night for a bunch of nights in a row? I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah, who is he? Hogan? I mean, come on. You can't have him out there too much. All right. Moving right along. We're going to roll right into win, fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here's your win.
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
Of the week.
It's now time for win, fail. Joe, give us your wins of the week. Go, Joe.
Okay, so my win of the week is Cody's mustache. You laugh, but it's true. That thing got a huge pop, and he didn't even have to do anything. He just had to come out, and they looked at the facial hair and went, yes. And, hey, it was trending. Yeah. There's all kinds of wrestling memes out there now where it's Cody in the van.
Oh, my God, yes.
And, it's good fun for now, and we'll see how he changes his look going forward. Maybe he might actually grow a beard.
No, I like the idea that he's just going to keep growing that out to the full Ron Swanson, where it's just like this giant thing on his face. Then he gets the pompadour going.
It could be.
I like it. Rob, what do you think?
My win of the week is Team FTW, namely Lee, winning our draft. I thought that was awesome. Also tied with that, the Final Resolution pay-per-view as a whole comes into mind.
All right. Awesome sauce. Garv, you got a win of the week?
Yeah, I do. I actually have two. I have one main win, and that is Antonio Cesaro. I thought his work this week was awesome. My runner-up, if they are doing what I think they're doing, and that is eliminating Little Jimmy. Having him not come to the ring with R-Truth, I think was a nice step forward, and hopefully that's a trend that continues.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I like the idea of Little Jimmy not being on TV anymore. I still think that was the weakest thing about R-Truth, really, really dragging him down. My real win of the week, though, is because of I decided to pull the trigger and start watching Sons of Anarchy with my wife. I want to do a win for that because, well, okay, I can't give TNA credit because when we were talking about Aces and Eights and everything, everyone in the chat was making comparisons to Sons of Anarchy and how, once you watch that show, you understand the storyline a little bit. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll sit down and watch the pilot. And this show's phenomenal. We just finished the first season and we're going to start doing the second. Actually, we started watching the first episode of the second. It is fantastic. So live chat, thank you. I know you didn't recommend it, but I decided to check it out because you guys were talking about it, and it is freaking awesome as a show. Still hate Harleys. That's never gonna change, but it's an awesome show. All right, Garv, our official live chat ambassador. You got wins from the chat?
Yeah. Some of the wins include Final Resolution overall. That one came from Diva Jill. We also got Austin Aries beating Bully Ray. Daniels giving AJ Styles the style clash. And Murky Rex says his win is Harrison's return. So
Hey,
Harrison has a fan.
Thank you for the sarcastic win. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for being the only one to really support me on that, while Joe and Garvin go silent in shock that someone might actually like me on here.
I figured someone's just got hit in the head with a tack hammer, and
somebody listens to the show with one of us trying to play host.
Yeah.
That's my fail last week.
Also throwing out that Zahir Ahmed on Twitter, who used to tweet us all the time, but he kind of disappeared as of late. But he's back, and he says that his fail from last week was that Harrison was gone. Obviously, he's a big fan, too. So you got two fans.
Two fans.
Hey.
Thank you for not saying something ridiculous like, hey, I heard that the local prison was getting internet. So, fails of the week. Joe, your fail of the week. Go, Joe.
My fail of the week is actually Garvin for saying he's only been watching TNA for 2 years. I'm sorry, bro, but there was a time I was in your apartment, the one you had by yourself, and we were watching some TNA. And and you're like, yeah, it's actually really good. And I'm like, sweet. I've never seen it. And you're like, yeah, it's good. And yeah, you've been watching it longer than 2 years, man.
I got Garvin. No, I got Garvin. I got your back on that one. Garvin was watching it off and on for a while, but it wasn't until we started doing this show and he started participating a little bit that really pushed him to actually watch it, sit down, and pay attention to it. I know that because I remember.
And we've been doing this show for for about 3 years now. So
I know, but he hasn't really been involved the entire time. Like that's what I'm saying.
Actually, go back. He has.
Well, not as a producer. No, I remember when Joe and I started doing this, we came to Garvin and he said, no, I'm too busy with my other stuff. And then he comes back going, hey, I got free time now. And then, the show got awesome. But the point still stands. You still shot us down. Rob,
yeah.
Fail of the week.
It's in episode 1.
My fail of the week is listening to you guys argue
about ancient history? Literally, I'm sorry, Rob, because you weren't there, doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, I get it.
No. My actual fail of the week goes to Mike for his betrayal of Team FTW, which will be dealt with. Oh yes, it will be dealt with.
And you were an Army Ranger.
Yes.
Note to self, never ever betray the podcast. Hot damn. All right, Carve, your fail of the week. Go.
My fail of the week is the tag team championships ending at Final Resolution. I hate dumb DQ endings, and I think how they ended it with Morgan pulling the ref out and that being an automatic DQ. I think that was a huge fail on their part. I think they could have done it a lot better.
I don't think it was just pulling the ref out. I think it was pulling the ref out of the ring in addition to the other stuff that Morgan had been doing.
But he's not like
Morgan has been warned by the referee for a few other things too.
But still, he's bending rules. He's not breaking rules. He's not outright bringing in weapons or something as severe as that. He broke up the count by pulling the ref out of the ring. How is that a disqualification? That's just breaking the count.
Because technically you're not allowed to touch the referee at all.
Well, that's stupid.
I don't make the rules of professional wrestling, Garvin.
All right.
It happens all the time. No one gets disqualified except for Matt Morgan. I don't get it. Oh, I'm sorry. Matt Morgan and Big Show at whatever event that was.
It's true.
It is true, and it's an excellent observation, yeah. No, my fail of the week is Joe. Not for last week, but for just a few minutes ago when he should imply that anybody should listen to the first episode. No, do not listen to the first episode of this podcast. There's a major fail.
Yeah, my audio is horrible, although Garvin did do the intros. But yeah, we did recently go back through that and listen to that only to
oh my god
test the RSS to fix it for some of our listeners who were actually going through and listening for clips for the Christmas show. So props to those fans.
Yeah, actually, and there was somebody else who was actually going through was doing the marathon, right? Started episode 1 and went to 2, 3, and was doing the whole.
No, it was somebody who's going through all our YouTube episodes and commenting on every single one that we put up, and I think it's before 40 was
before
his
40.
username?
Yeah.
Props to you, man, for going through all our shows and actually giving us some feedback in those comments. We appreciate it. It's nice to know people actually do go back through and listen to some of the archives. Yeah, not just the week after we air the episode.
Well,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I always liked it because it seems so, to me it seems strange because what we do is so topical. Like we're reviewing something that happened in the past week. So I guess there's a time capsule aspect of it. I mean, you can go 2 years ago and be like, oh wow, this is the reaction to what happened. Or like significant moments like CM Punk shoot promo or, Rock versus Cena at WrestleMania or something like that. But other than that, I mean, it's so topical. It seems it's like going back and watching past daily news, shows. I don't know. That's just my aspect of it. Anyway, Garv, you got any fails from the chat?
Yeah, I got a few actually. Give me a second.
I caught you off guard, didn't I?
Here's where I'm going to take some shots.
So I've tripped up everybody this show except for Joe. I appreciate that.
Okay, here's some fails. No Velvet Sky at Final Resolution. The hate for Aces and Eights. I don't think he's referring to our hate for Aces and Eights because we don't really hate them. We just dislike how they're being booked. A fail on me for not attacking Mike last week. Also, Paul Heyman banging on about CM Punk being the WWE champion for 388 days. Which again, I don't necessarily understand that fail, but.
All right, fair enough. All right, that is it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I do want to mention that we are in the holiday season. Unfortunately, Christmas will fall on a Tuesday night. Thank you, Jesus. Because of that, we're going to do the best of show. We need your help. Some of you guys have gone through the past episodes and found clips and stuff that you liked, or in my case, probably didn't like. If you could just do us a favor, grab your favorite moments, the most infamous moments, from these weekly discussions. Let us know what it is, just timestamp it and everything. And we should be able to add, we want to be able to add this into a special best of, worst of episode. Garv, what do you got?
Yeah, actually, one of the main things we're focusing on this time around is the best moments in TNA. Last week and the week before, we were looking for the best moments of WWE, and we got a ton. TNA, we've only received a few, and I know there's been a lot more awesome happenings in TNA in 2012. So if you have more, send them to us and let us know.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And that is it. That's the show. Check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. There's even a support tab where you can click to donate, buy merch, as well as links to us on iTunes and Stitcher so you can rate us. We accept no less than 4 stars because our parents love us that much. Thank you, everyone in the live chat. You guys are continually bringing the awesome. We record every FTW podcast episode on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. Even though Lee's not here, I have to say this, 1 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time at FTWLive.com. Make sure to tune in this Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern right here at FTWLive.com for our TLC pre-show. Look forward to seeing you guys then, and see you next Tuesday. Playa.